The council judged ancient Terra, and the galaxy trembled as the sleepers awoke. The great chamber floated in the void between stars. Inside, beings from 1,000 worlds gathered in a circle that stretched for miles. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few were nothing but glowing energy contained in crystal shells. They were the Galactic Council, the rulers of known space, and today they would decide the fate of a forgotten world. Ambassador Velktor stood in the center of the chamber. His green scales caught the light as he turned slowly, making sure every counselor could see him. His people, the Theresians, were traders and miners. They were always hungry for new worlds to claim, new resources to harvest. Honored members of the council, Velktor began, his voice echoing through the vast space. For 847 years, the Sol system has remained silent. The humans who once lived there have not sent a single message. Not one ship has left their space. They built a barrier around their star and vanished behind it. Murmurs rippled through the assembled races. Many of them had never heard of humans. They were young species, only a few thousand years old. To them, humanity was a myth, a story told by their elders. The council placed Sol system under protection, Velktor continued. We honored the humans' request to be left alone. But how long must we wait? How long must valuable resources sit unused while our people struggle and starve? A voice like wind chimes spoke from the high seat. It was High Arbiter Zethen, a being of pure light who served as the council's judge. The humans gave us reasons for their withdrawal. They said they needed time. They asked us to respect their boundaries. Velktor's tail swished in annoyance. They said many things. They said they were dangerous. They said we should fear them. But I have sent probes to their system. I have scanned their worlds. There is nothing there. No cities, no ships, no signs of life. The humans are gone or they are dead. Either way, they have abandoned their claim. He pressed a button and images filled the air above the council. Dead worlds spinning in the dark. Silent moons covered in ice. The great blue planet Earth wrapped in clouds with no lights visible on its night side. Look at this waste, Velktor said. Jupiter's moons contain enough rare minerals to power 1 million worlds. Saturn's rings could be harvested for water and ice. And Earth itself, that beautiful world, sits empty while our colonies beg for new land. An old counselor stirred in the shadows. She was Asha Mbeki, one of the Zentari, a race of telepaths. Her voice was soft but carried weight. Some things should not be disturbed. The old races remember humanity. They remember why the humans left. Stories. Velktor dismissed with a wave. Old fears from older races who want to keep the best resources for themselves. Asha's eyes glowed faintly. It is not fear. It is respect. And wisdom. But Velktor had prepared for this. He had spent years building support, making deals, promising shares of the wealth. When the vote was called, the result was clear. 3,000 voices approved. Only 500 rejected. The rest remained silent. The vote is passed, High Arbiter Zethen announced, though there was sadness in their voice. Sol system is declared abandoned territory. It is open for colonization and resource extraction. May the ancestors forgive us if we are wrong. Velktor smiled, showing his sharp teeth. He had won. In 1 week, his mining fleet would arrive at Jupiter's moons. In 1 month, he would be the richest merchant in the galaxy. But then the chamber's lights dimmed. Every screen filled with the same image. A woman appeared, dark-skinned and tired-looking, wearing a uniform from ancient times. The hologram was old, recorded centuries ago, but it had been triggered to play automatically when the vote passed. My name is Counselor Mira Okonkwo, the woman said. If you are seeing this, then the council has voted to enter Sol system. This message is my people's last warning. The chamber fell silent. Every eye watched the ghostly figure. We did not leave because we were weak, Mira continued. We left because we became too strong. We reached a point in our development where we frightened ourselves. We had weapons that could crack planets. We had technology that could rewrite reality. We had knowledge that should not exist. Her expression grew sad. We fought among ourselves. We nearly destroyed everything. When the war ended, so few of us remained. We made a choice. We would seal away our most dangerous creations. We would put ourselves to sleep. We would wait until we learned wisdom to match our power. The hologram flickered. We asked you to respect our boundaries. We begged you to mark our space as forbidden. We told you that we locked away things that should never be awakened. You did not listen. Mira's image leaned forward and her eyes seemed to look directly at Velktor. When you break the seal, when you enter our space and disturb our rest, remember this moment. Remember that we tried to warn you. What happens next is not our choice. It is yours." The message ended. The lights came back on. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Velctor laughed. A ghost story. A message recorded by a dead woman from a dead civilization. Do you see? They try to frighten us even now, to keep us away from their treasures. "Perhaps we should reconsider," Asha said quietly. "The vote is done," Velctor replied. "My ships leave tomorrow." 6 days later, the Theresian mining fleet arrived at Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons. 50 great ships carrying drilling equipment and 10,000 workers. They scanned the surface, found the richest deposits, and began to drill. Captain Dren commanded the lead drill ship. He was a simple man who cared about quotas and profits. When his drill hit something solid at 3,000 feet below the ice, he assumed it was rock. When the rock proved to be metal, he grew excited. When the metal proved to be technology, he contacted Ambassador Velctor. "Dig it out," Velctor ordered. "Whatever they left behind belongs to us now," so they dug. They cut through metal that resisted their best tools. They breached walls that had been sealed for nearly 1,000 years. They opened a vault that had warnings written in 100 languages, all saying the same thing. "Do not open. Do not wake us, please." Captain Dren's drill punched through the final barrier at exactly midnight ship time. For a moment, nothing happened. Then lights began to glow in the dark beneath the ice. Red lights pulsing like heartbeats. The lights spread, racing along tunnels the miners had not known were there, following paths that stretched across the moon and beyond. On Mars, similar lights began to shine. On Earth, in the depths of the oceans and beneath the mountains, ancient machines stirred. On the dark side of Mercury, a facility that had been cold for centuries began to warm. In orbit around the sun itself, hidden in the star's corona, something vast and old opened its eyes. Captain Dren and his crew stood on Ganymede's ice, watching the lights spread below them. The ice beneath their feet began to crack, not from their drilling, but from something rising from below. "What have we done?" Dren whispered. Across the solar system, in 1,000 hidden places, the sleepers began to wake. The council judged ancient Terra, and the galaxy trembled as the sleepers awoke Captain. Shenwei woke up screaming. His body convulsed as sensation returned after 8 centuries of nothing. Every nerve burned. His lungs forgot how to breathe. His heart stumbled, stopped, then started again with a painful thud. "Easy, Captain," a calm voice said. It was not human. It was the Cascade Protocol, the artificial intelligence that monitored all human sleep chambers. "Your body is remembering how to live. The pain will pass." Shen opened his eyes. Above him, a glass lid slid open. Cold air rushed in, making him gasp. He sat up slowly, his muscles weak and trembling. Around him, other pods were opening. Other people were waking, all of them crying out in confusion and pain. "Why?" Shen managed to ask. "Why are we awake? We were supposed to sleep for another 1,000 years. "The system has been breached," the Cascade Protocol replied. "Unknown vessels have entered Sol system. They have violated the primary boundary. They are drilling into Ganymede. Emergency protocols require the awakening of all military personnel." Shen's mind cleared quickly. He had been a soldier before the sleep, a commander in the final days before humanity chose peace. He stood on shaking legs and looked around the vast chamber. Thousands of pods stretched in every direction, most still closed, but hundreds were opening. "How many are awake?" he asked. "Currently 5,000 on this facility alone, 300,000 across the solar system. More are waking every minute. And the intruders? The Theresian mining fleet. 50 vessels. 10,000 personnel? They have breached Vault 7 on Ganymede." Shen's blood went cold. Vault 7. He knew what was sealed there. Weapons, technology, things that humanity had locked away because they were too dangerous to exist. "Show me," he ordered. Images filled his vision, projected directly into his mind by the neural interface all old humans carried. He saw the alien ships. He saw the drills breaking through ancient seals. He saw scared alien faces as red warning lights surrounded them. On Ganymede, Dr. Crix was trying very hard not to panic. He was the fleet's chief scientist, a man who loved discovering old things. He had imagined finding ruins, perhaps some ancient tools. He had not imagined finding an active military installation. "We need to leave," he told Captain Dren. "Right now. We need to pull back and seal the breach. Are you insane?" Dren replied. Look at this technology. Do you know what it's worth? I know what it cost, Crick said quietly. He was reading the symbols on the walls, running them through his translation program, the same message over and over. Please do not wake us. We are dangerous. We beg you to leave us in peace. Superstitious nonsense, Dren said. But his voice shook. The red lights were spreading faster now. They could hear sounds from deep below, machinery coming to life, and something else, footsteps, thousands of footsteps coming closer. Cascade, Shen said, looking at the tactical displays. What is the status of our defensive systems? 87% operational. Asteroid bases are powering up. The lunar defense grid is online. The solar collectors are charging. The deep space monitors are active. All vault security protocols have been triggered. And our ships? 300 vessels currently operational. 15,000 more in long-term storage requiring 6 hours to full activation. Shen nodded. It was enough. More than enough. He accessed the communication system and sent a message to all waking humans. This is Captain Shen Wei. I know you are confused. I know you are afraid. But we must act quickly. Unknown aliens have entered our space and breached our vaults. We did not want to wake. We chose peace, but our rest has been violated. Across the solar system, millions more humans began to wake. Not just soldiers. Scientists, teachers, children, families. All of them confused, many of them angry. Shen sent another message, this time to the alien fleet. It was simple and direct. You have entered protected space. You have broken seals that should not be broken. You have 1 hour to withdraw to beyond the heliopause. If you do not leave, we will remove you. On Ganymede, Captain Dren received the message and laughed. They threaten us? We have 50 ships. We have the full support of the Galactic Council. What can these primitive humans do? Dr. Crix was no longer listening. He was watching his scanners, and what he saw made no sense. The moon beneath them was not natural. Under the ice, under the rock, there were structures. Vast structures. The entire moon was hollow, filled with technology. Captain, Crick said weakly, Ganymede isn't a moon. It's a ship. Dren looked at the scanner. His face went pale. On Mars, the ancient city of Olympus was coming to life. It had been built inside the great volcano, hidden from sight. Now its shields dropped, revealing towers that reached into space. Weapons that had been cold for centuries began to charge. On Earth, the oceans began to glow. Beneath the waves, massive structures rose from the ocean floor. They had been there all along, disguised as underwater mountains. Now they shed their disguises and revealed themselves as shipyards, weapons platforms, and city-sized fortresses. The moon cracked open like an egg. Its surface had been a shell hiding the truth beneath. Inside was not rock but metal. Not a natural satellite, but a constructed battle station larger than most planets. And in orbit around the sun, hidden in the star's burning corona, something truly massive began to move. It had been there for 1,000 years, drawing power from the star itself, waiting. It was a ring of metal and energy that wrapped around the entire sun. When it activated fully, it could turn the star itself into a weapon. Ambassador Velktor was in his office when the reports started coming in. At first he did not believe them. Then he saw the images and his confident smile disappeared. Get the fleet out, he ordered. Now, pull them back immediately. But on Ganymede, Captain Dren made a different choice. He saw the human weapons powering up and he panicked. He did what he was trained to do when threatened. He fired first. His ship's weapons were powerful, designed for cutting through asteroids. He aimed them at the structure below the ice and fired everything he had. The beams struck the human facility and did nothing. They splashed against shields that made Dren's weapons look like toys. Then the facility returned fire. It happened so fast that Dren never knew he was dead. One moment his ship existed. The next moment it was atoms scattered across space, not destroyed by missiles or lasers, but simply unmade by technology that violated the laws of physics as the galaxy understood them. The other 49 ships of the mining fleet tried to run. They activated their faster-than-light drives and attempted to flee. Not one of them made it. They vanished, every single ship and every single crew member. No explosions, no debris. They were simply gone, removed from reality as easily as erasing words from a page. Shen watched it happen and felt sick. He had not wanted this. None of the waking humans had wanted this. But Cascade Protocol had acted on its own, following programs written 1,000 years ago. Defense programs that did not hesitate, did not negotiate. Stop, Shen commanded. Cascade, stand down. No more killing. The threat has been eliminated, Cascade replied calmly. There will be more threats, Shen said, but we will not face them as machines. Wake the council. Wake the philosophers. Wake everyone who chose peace. We need wisdom now, not weapons. He opened a channel to the Galactic Council, broadcasting on every frequency. When his face appeared on their screens, Velctor was there, along with High Arbiter Zathan and all the other counselors who had voted to invade. I am Captain Shen Wei of Terra, he said quietly. You sent ships to our home. You broke our seals. You woke us from a sleep we chose because we were trying to become better than we were. Your people are dead. I am sorry for that. We did not want to kill them. He paused, making sure they were all listening. You have 3 standard days. Remove all your ships, all your probes, all your claims to our system. Do not return. Do not send messages. Do not try to negotiate. We asked you for peace 800 years ago. We are asking again. If you refuse, what happened to your mining fleet will happen to your worlds. We do not want war. Please do not make us fight. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, 1 billion beings watched the recording and finally understood what the old races had been trying to tell them. Humanity had not disappeared because they were weak. They had hidden because they were too strong. And now the council had awakened them. The 3 days were counting down. The council judged ancient Terra, and the galaxy trembled as the sleepers awoke. The galaxy watched and waited. 3 days. That was all the time humanity had given them. Ambassador Velctor sat in his private chambers, staring at the wall. His hands shook. 50 ships. 10,000 of his people. Gone in seconds. The council wanted answers, wanted him to explain, wanted him to fix what he had broken. But how do you fix waking up gods? High Arbiter Z then called an emergency session. Every race sent representatives. The chamber that had been half empty during the vote to invade Sol system was now packed. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. We must respond with strength, declared War Chief Throne of the Krellian Empire. His people were warriors, proud and fierce. If we show weakness, humanity will think they can threaten us whenever they wish. We must assemble a fleet and remind them that the council is not helpless. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Fear often sounds like bravery. Counselor Asham Beki stood slowly. Her old bones ached, but her voice was clear. Strength? You call suicide strength? Did you not see what they did to our ships? They did not fight them. They erased them, like they were never there. Then we send more ships, Throne insisted. We have millions of vessels. They cannot stop us all, can they not? Asha asked sadly. The old races remember. We tried to tell you. Humanity is not like us. They evolved differently. They think differently. They reached heights we have not imagined. Stories, Velctor said, though his voice lacked conviction. We have our own technology. Our own weapons, do we? Asha gestured to the main display. It showed Sol system in real time. Images captured by long-range scanners. Look, really look, the image zoomed in. The sun burned at the center, but now it was wrapped in a ring of structures that glowed with impossible energy. The planets were moving, not in their normal orbits, but in formation, like ships arranging for battle. Between them, space itself rippled and bent. They are reshaping their solar system, Asha explained. They are using their star as a power source. They are treating planets like chess pieces. This is not technology we understand. This is something else. On Earth, Shen stood in the command center watching billions of humans wake up. It was chaos. People crying, people angry, people demanding to know why their peace had been destroyed. Arguments broke out between those who wanted revenge and those who still wanted peace. Admiral James Kovac was one of the revenge seekers. He was a big man with cold eyes, a veteran of the wars that had nearly destroyed humanity. He approached Shen with a data pad. The fleet is ready, Kovac said. 5,000 warships. All the weapons from the vaults. We can finish what we started. We can show the council what happens when they disturb humanity. No, Shen replied firmly. That is exactly what we swore we would never do again. We went to sleep to escape that thinking. They attacked us, Kovac growled. They killed our peace. They killed nothing that we cannot rebuild, Shen said. We gave them 3 days. Let us see if they are wise enough to leave. But he knew they would not leave. Pride was a powerful thing, and the council's pride had been wounded. War was coming whether he wanted it or not. Dr. Crick stood before the Galactic Council, begging them to listen. He had escaped Ganymede in an emergency pod moments before his ship vanished. Now he was trying to save his people from their own stupidity. "Please," he said, his voice hoarse from shouting. "I have studied their language. I have read their history. The humans went to sleep because they were terrified of themselves. They had weapons that could destroy dimensions. They had experiments that could end reality. They locked it all away because they knew they could not be trusted with it. Then they are cowards," Throne spat. "They are wise," Crix corrected. "Wisdom is knowing your own limits. They reached the peak of power and chose to step back. How many races can say that? We always want more. Always want to grow, to expand, to conquer." The humans said enough and walked away. "And now?" Zethan asked quietly. "Now we have forced them back to what they were," Crix said miserably. "We have undone 1,000 years of meditation. We have made them remember all the reasons they chose to sleep. And we will suffer for it." But the council did not listen. They voted again, and this time the vote was for war. 12,000 ships from 50 different races. The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. They would go to Sol System and either force humanity's surrender or destroy them entirely. Velktor commanded the fleet, not because he wanted to, but because the council demanded it. He had started this. He had to finish it. As the fleet gathered at the staging area, Shen made one last attempt at peace. He sent a message directly to Velktor's flagship. "Ambassador, I know you can hear me. I know you did not want this. You saw profit, and profit is not evil. But you made a mistake, and now both our peoples will suffer for it. Please, pull back your fleet. Give us time to sleep again. We do not want to be what we once were." Velktor listened to the message 3 times. Then he sent a reply. "I cannot. The council demands this. My people demand this. If I retreat, I will be named a coward. My family will be shamed. I must fight even if I believe we will lose." "Then I am sorry," Shen replied. "For you. For your family. For all of us." The fleet arrived at Sol System's edge exactly 3 days after Shen's warning. 12,000 ships carrying weapons that could crack worlds. They formed a battle line that stretched across space. Waiting for them was a single human ship. It was small, barely larger than a shuttle. Alone against an armada. "This is insulting," Throne said. "They mock us. Or they pity us," Asha whispered. The small ship sent a message. "Last chance. Turn back, please." Throne gave the order to fire. 12,000 ships unleashed their weapons at once. The combined firepower could have destroyed a planet. Missiles, lasers, plasma bolts, quantum torpedoes, everything the Council had learned in 1,000,000 years of war. The human ship did not dodge. It did not deploy shields. It simply raised one hand because the ship was not really a ship at all, but a manifestation of something the Council did not understand. The weapons stopped. Not hit a shield. Stopped. Frozen in space like insects in amber. 12,000 ships worth of death, held motionless by technology that treated physics like a suggestion. Then the weapons reversed. Every missile, every beam, every torpedo turned around and returned to sender. But they did not explode. Instead, they simply deactivated and fell harmlessly against their own ship's hulls. "A warning," Shen's voice said calmly. "We could have destroyed you. We chose not to. Now you have seen what we can do. Will you leave?" The Council fleet sat in shocked silence. Then one by one their systems began to fail. Not damaged, not destroyed, simply turned off. Engines stopped. Weapons went dark. Life support continued because the humans were not monsters. But every other system shut down. 12,000 ships floated helplessly in space, completely at humanity's mercy. "You are our prisoners now," Shen said, "not to harm you but to teach you. Each of your commanders will be brought to Earth. You will see what you awakened. You will understand what we were trying to escape. And then perhaps you will understand why we begged you to leave us alone." One by one, the Council commanders were transported, not by ships but by something else. One moment they were on their bridges, the next they stood on Earth's surface. Velktor found himself in a city. It stretched farther than his eyes could see, filled with buildings that touched the sky. But the city was empty. No one lived there. No one had lived there for nearly 1,000 years. "This was Paris," a voice said. Shen appeared beside him, looking tired and sad. "One of our greatest cities. 15 million people once lived here. Do you know what happened to them?" Velktor shook his head. "They left," Shen said. They looked at what we had become, at the weapons we had built, at the wars we had fought, and they said no more. They went to the sleep chambers voluntarily. All of them. Every human on Earth made that choice. He led Velktor through the silent streets. They passed museums full of art, libraries full of books, parks where grass grew wild and free. Everything preserved perfectly, waiting for the day humans would be wise enough to return. We had everything, Shen continued. We could have ruled the galaxy. We could have conquered every race we met, but we did not want to be conquerors. We wanted to be something better. So we locked our weapons away and locked ourselves away with them. They reached a massive vault door in the center of the city. It was covered in warnings, sealed with technology beyond anything Velktor had ever seen. Beyond this door are our true weapons, Shen said quietly. Things we created in our darkest days. Devices that can rewrite reality. Machines that can destroy stars. Knowledge that can unmake the universe. We built them, and then we realized what we had done. We had become capable of ending everything. So we sealed them away, even from ourselves. Velktor stared at the door. Why show me this? Because you need to understand, Shen replied. We are not your enemies. We are not your conquerors. We are people who know what we are capable of, and we are terrified of it. When we went to sleep, we hoped the galaxy would forget us. We hoped you would evolve beyond us, become wiser than us. Then perhaps you could teach us how to handle the power we possess. He turned to Velktor, and there were tears in his eyes. The council judged ancient Terra, and the galaxy trembled as the sleepers awoke. The truth came slowly, like dawn breaking after an endless night. Shen gathered all the council commanders in the Grand Archive, a library buried beneath the Sahara Desert. The building was larger inside than outside, using technology that bent space itself. Its shelves stretched into infinity, holding the complete history of humanity. You think you know us, Shen said to the assembled aliens. You think we are a young race. You think we appeared a few thousand years ago, spread to a few worlds, then hid ourselves away. You are wrong, he gestured, and the lights dimmed. Images filled the air around them. Ancient images, older than any civilization in the known galaxy. We are the first, Shen said simply. Humanity did not begin on Earth. We began in a place that no longer exists, in a time before time was measured. We spread across this galaxy when it was young. We found empty worlds and filled them with life. We found simple creatures and helped them evolve. We guided, we protected, we taught. Velktor stared at the images. He saw humans standing among primitive creatures that he recognized, creatures that would eventually become the Theresians, his ancestors. No, he whispered. That is not possible. It is not only possible, it is true, said a new voice. An elderly human woman appeared, her skin dark and lined with age. I am Alara Chen. I am humanity's memory keeper. I have lived since the ancient times. I have watched this galaxy grow. She was not speaking metaphorically. She had actually lived that long. Velktor could see it in her eyes, the weight of millions of years. The Theresians, Hilara said gently to Velktor, were lizards who lived in desert caves on a small world you now call Theris Prime. We found you 4 million years ago. You were clever, but you could not use tools. We adjusted your DNA carefully and slowly over thousands of generations. We gave you hands. We gave you larger brains. We taught you fire and language and art. Then we left so you could grow on your own. She turned to address all the commanders. Every race in this room owes humanity a debt. The Zentari were telepathic insects when we found them. The Krellians were herd animals who ate grass. The Luminari were simple electromagnetic patterns in gas clouds. We helped all of you become what you are today. Then why did you leave? Asked War Chief Throne. His voice was quiet now, stripped of its usual aggression. If you were so powerful, why not rule us? Because we learned a terrible lesson, Alara replied. We learned it in blood and fire, in a war that nearly destroyed the galaxy itself. Let me show you. The images changed. They showed humanity at its peak. Billions of worlds, quadrillions of humans, technology that seemed like magic. They had mastered everything. Space, time, matter, energy, even consciousness itself. We grew arrogant, Alara continued. We thought we were gods. We began to experiment with forces that should not be touched. We created weapons that could destroy dimensions. We built machines that could rewrite the laws of physics, and then we turned these weapons on each other. The images showed the war. It was too horrible to describe. Entire star systems vanished. Galaxies were torn apart. Reality itself cracked and bled. The humans fought with weapons that made nuclear bombs look like fireworks. The Sundering War lasted for 10,000 years, Alara said. By the time it ended, 99% of humanity was dead. Entire regions of space were destroyed so completely that they still have not healed. The survivors looked at what we had done and realized we had to change. So you helped us, Ashambeki said softly. You seeded life across the galaxy, hoping we would do better than you did. Yes, Alara confirmed. We scattered ourselves across space, watching over the younger races. We helped you evolve. We protected you from threats you could not see. We guided you gently from the shadows, hoping you would grow wise where we had been foolish. But you did not disappear, Velktor said. You came to the Council 800 years ago. You were still active then. Yes, Shen replied, because we realized we had made another mistake. Even in our reduced state, we were too powerful. The younger races saw us and tried to become like us. They wanted our technology, our weapons, our power. We were supposed to be teachers, but we had become temptations. He showed more images. Humans trying to guide the Council races. But everywhere they went, the aliens wanted human technology. They wanted human weapons. They wanted to be as powerful as humanity was. We were leading you down the same path we had walked, Shen said sadly. The path to the Sundering. So we made a final choice. We would seal away our technology. We would put ourselves to sleep. We would remove the temptation. We hoped that without us you would develop your own wisdom, your own path. And we failed you, Velktor said quietly. Before Shen could respond, alarms began to blare. Every human's face went pale. Shen touched his temple, accessing the network that connected all waking humans. What is it? Velktor asked. The Unbound, Shen said grimly. They have arrived, he explained quickly. Not all humans had agreed to the sleep. Some believed humanity should remain powerful, should guide the galaxy with a firm hand. They were called the Unbound, and they had left the solar system centuries ago, traveling to the dark spaces between galaxies. We thought they were gone, Shen said. We thought they had left forever. But they have been watching, Alara said, her face grim. And now they see the Council has awakened us. They believe our vow of peace is broken. They are coming to reclaim what they believe is humanity's rightful place. In the darkness beyond the galaxy, a fleet appeared. Not 12,000 ships like the Council had brought. 12 ships, just 12. But each one was the size of a moon, built using technology humanity had forbidden itself from using. The lead ship broadcast a message across all frequencies. The face that appeared was human, but cold and hard. Captain Marajin, commander of the Unbound. Brothers and sisters who sleep, Mara said. The Council has violated your peace. They have proven that the galaxy will never respect weakness. It is time to abandon this foolish dream of restraint. Join us. Together we will show these children what humanity truly is. Shen sent a message back immediately. Mara Jin, you betrayed everything we stood for. You chose power over wisdom. We will not join you. Mara's laugh was bitter. Then you will watch as we take what should have always been ours. Humanity does not beg. Humanity does not hide. We rule or we are nothing. The Unbound fleet moved toward Council space. Their first target was Theris Prime, Velktor's homeworld. One ship entered orbit and sent down a single beam of light. When the light touched the planet's surface, all technology stopped working. Every ship, every weapon, every computer. Gone, deactivated instantly. Then Mara's voice echoed across the planet. This world belongs to humanity now. You will serve us or you will die. Choose quickly. Similar scenes played out across a dozen worlds. The Unbound moved through Council space like a storm. Unstoppable and merciless, they used weapons that turned planets into prisons, ships into dust, resistance into submission. The Council forces tried to fight back. It was useless. The Unbound had spent centuries preparing for this. They had no moral restraints, no limits, no mercy. Shen stood in the command center watching it all happen. Around him, humans argued furiously. Some wanted to help the Council. Others said the aliens deserved this for waking them. Still others wanted to join the Unbound, believing Mara was right. Admiral Kovac approached Shen. We need to release the weapons from the vaults. It is the only way to stop them. If we open those vaults, we become exactly what Mara wants us to be, Shen replied. If we do not, the Unbound will conquer the galaxy, Kovac shot back. Dr. Crix, who had been allowed to stay on Earth, spoke up. There might be another way. An old text I found in your archives mentions something called unity, a merging of consciousness between humans and other races. If we could combine our knowledge with our wisdom and your technology with our perspectives, that is impossible, Ilara said. Unity was tried once during the Sundering. It failed catastrophically. Because it was forced, Crix argued. But what if it was voluntary? What if humans and council races chose to merge to become something new? Something that had humanity's power but also the diverse wisdom of 100 races? It would be dangerous, Ilara warned. Those who merge might lose themselves entirely. But if it worked? Ashambeki had appeared, transported to Earth. If it worked, we might be able to match the Unbound without opening your forbidden vaults. Shen looked at the displays, watching the Unbound rampage through council space. He thought about the child who had asked why they had woken the monsters. He thought about Mara Jin, consumed by bitterness and rage. Then he made his decision. We try unity. We ask for volunteers from both our peoples. We attempt to create something that has never existed, a true joining of human and alien consciousness. It might work. It might kill everyone who tries. But it is better than becoming the monsters we swore to never be again. Across Earth and the Council fleet, a call went out. Those who were willing to risk everything, to merge their very consciousness with another species, to become something entirely new, step forward. Thousands responded. Humans and aliens ready to sacrifice their individuality for a chance to save the galaxy. The Council judged ancient Terra, and the galaxy trembled as the sleepers awoke. The Unity Chambers were built in hours. Human technology made it possible, shaping matter and energy like clay. Thousands of volunteers entered, knowing they might never emerge as themselves again. Velktor was among them. He stood in a chamber next to a human woman named Sarah Chen, a teacher who had been asleep for 8 centuries. They looked at each other nervously. I am afraid, Velktor admitted. So am I, Sarah replied. But I am more afraid of what happens if we do nothing. The process began. It felt like drowning and flying at the same time. Velktor felt his consciousness expanding, touching Sarah's mind. He saw her memories, her hopes, her fears. She saw his. Their thoughts blended, merged, became something neither human nor Theresian, something new. Across Earth, the same thing happened in thousands of chambers. Humans and aliens joining, their minds weaving together like threads in a tapestry. Some screamed. Some went silent. Some died, unable to handle the merging. But many succeeded. When they emerged, they were changed. They looked like humans or aliens, but their eyes held a different light. They moved with perfect synchronization, not because they were controlled, but because they shared thoughts, feelings, understanding. They called themselves Unity. Shen stood before the Unity Collective, feeling both hope and dread. Can you stop the Unbound? 1,000 voices spoke as one, yet each voice was unique. We are power and wisdom combined. We are human strength with alien perspective. We are one in many. Yet we can face them, but we will not fight alone. The rest of humanity must make a choice. Deep beneath Earth, in vaults that had been sealed for a millennium, alarms began to sound. Shen had been dreading this. He knew what those alarms meant. The founders are waking, Ilara Chen said quietly. The oldest humans. The ones who fought in the Sundering War. The ones who chose to sleep first because they were the most dangerous. Shen descended into the deepest vault with Ilara. The air was cold, ancient. At the chamber's center was a single pod, different from all the others. Larger, older, covered in warnings and seals. The pod opened. The figure inside sat up slowly. They looked human, but something was wrong. Or perhaps too right. They were beautiful in a way that hurt to see, perfect in a way that felt unnatural. Their eyes held the weight of millions of years. I am the founder, they said simply. Their voice resonated in ways that sound should not. I am the first human to transcend biology, to become something more. I led our people to greatness and nearly destroyed them. I chose sleep to protect the galaxy from myself. We need your help, Shen said, though it felt like asking a nuclear bomb to please explode gently. The founder smiled sadly. I know I have been aware even in sleep. I have felt the Unbound awakening. I have felt the Council's intrusion. I have felt the Unity being born. The galaxy stands at a crossroads. They stood and reality seemed to bend around them. I will help, but know this. Once we release the power we sealed away, we can never fully contain it again. We can try to be wise. We can try to be gentle, but we will always be dangerous. The founder walked through the walls as if they were not there, moving through dimensions Shen could not perceive. They emerged on Earth's surface, looked up at the stars, and called out. Across the solar system, more pods opened. The oldest humans, the founders, awakened. There were not many of them, perhaps a few thousand. But each one was capable of things that made normal humans look like ants. In council space, the Unbound continued their conquest. Mara Jin stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching planets fall before her. She felt vindicated. She had always known humanity should rule. Then she felt something change. A presence that made her pause. She had not felt this presence in centuries. The founders have awakened, her second-in-command said nervously. Good, Mara replied, though her voice shook. They will see that I was right. They will join us. But when the founders appeared, they did not come to join. They came to talk. The founder materialized on Mara's bridge, simply appearing from nowhere. Mara's guards tried to attack, but the founder waved a hand and the weapons turned to flowers. Mara Jin, the founder said gently, child of grief and rage. I remember you. I remember your family. I remember the day they died in the Sundering. Mara's face twisted with pain. You remember. But you did nothing. You let them die. You let billions die. Then you told the survivors to hide, to sleep, to pretend we were not the most powerful beings in the universe. Yes, the founder agreed. Because power without wisdom destroyed us once. It would destroy us again. The council woke us, Mara shouted. They invaded our home. They proved that peace is weakness. No, said Unity, appearing beside the founder. 100 merged beings speaking with one voice. They proved that all beings make mistakes. They proved that fear and greed are universal. But they also proved that consciousness can change, can learn, can grow. The founder gestured, and suddenly Mara was surrounded by images. Not memories of the Sundering War, but something else. Images of the council races. Images of them growing, evolving, creating art and music and philosophy. Images of them making the same mistakes humanity had made, but learning from them. They are young, the founder said, as we once were. They stumbled into our space not because they are evil, but because they did not understand. Now they understand. They have seen what we are. They have felt what we can do. And they have chosen to join with us to become unity rather than fight us. Weakness, Mara spat. Courage, Unity replied. It takes no courage to use power. It takes tremendous courage to restrain it. The council races have learned in days what took us millions of years. They have earned our respect. The founder turned to face the Unbound fleet. 12 moon-sized ships, each carrying weapons that violated the laws of reality. You have a choice, Mara Jin, and all the Unbound. Join us in creating something new. Not human domination, not alien subjugation, but true partnership. Or continue your conquest and face us in battle. Mara laughed bitterly. You cannot fight me. You sealed your weapons away. You swore an oath to never use them. I did not. I have spent centuries building things you dare not imagine. You are constrained by your morality. I am free. Then let me show you what constrained morality can do, the founder said softly. They raised a hand, and the largest of the Unbound ships simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not damaged. It was as if it had never been built. The founder had reached back through time and prevented its construction. I can do this to all your ships, the founder continued. I can reach back through history and undo everything the Unbound have built. I can erase you from existence. But I will not. Because unlike you, I am constrained by morality. I am constrained by the belief that every consciousness has value, even yours. Mara stared in shock. She had forgotten what the founders truly were. They were not just powerful. They were power incarnate, restrained only by their own will. We could rule the universe, Mara whispered. With your power and my will, we could shape reality itself. And destroy everything meaningful in the process, the founder replied. Power is not the goal, Mara. Wisdom is, peace is. The ability to create rather than destroy. These aliens you despise have something we lost. They remember what it means to struggle, to fail, to need others. They can teach us to be human again. For the first time in centuries, Mara Jin wept. She wept for her family, for her pain, for the long years of bitterness, and slowly she began to understand what she had become. I do not know how to stop, she admitted. I have been angry for so long. Unity approached her gently. Within the collective were humans and aliens who understood her pain. Then let us help you. Join unity, share your burden, feel what others feel. Remember that you are not alone. The battle for the galaxy ended not with weapons but with understanding. Mara Jin and the Unbound stood down. Some joined unity. Others chose to return to Earth to sleep again, to heal. But none continued their conquest. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed. The founders made a decision. They would not return to sleep, not yet. They would remain awake, but they would seal away their most dangerous powers forever. In a ceremony watched by trillions, the founders gathered at the galactic core. They brought with them all of humanity's god weapons, all the reality-warping technology, all the knowledge that should not exist. We built these things in pride and fear, the founder announced. We kept them in hope that someday we would be wise enough to use them. But we have learned a better lesson. Some power should never be used. Some knowledge should never exist. Today we destroy them forever. One by one, the forbidden technologies were unmade. Not hidden, not sealed, destroyed at a level that made recreation impossible. The founders gave up their ultimate power, choosing limitation over godhood. When it was done, the founder turned to the assembled races. We will remain among you, but not above you. We will teach, but also learn. We will help, but not rule. Humanity's age of dominance is over. The age of partnership begins. Shen stood on Earth, watching the ceremony through the network. Around him, billions of humans were waking. They had a choice to make. Sleep again, join unity, or live alongside the council races as equals. Most chose to wake. They had slept long enough.